Good evening and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the YouTube channel Cody's Footy World, and welcome back to another NRL tipping video. My name is Cody. Hope you guys are doing better on this lovely Tuesday afternoon, July 22nd, 2025. Once again, I'm back with another tipping video, and this week is round 21. We are now in our last 7 remaining rounds of the 2025 NRL regular season. The race to the finals began last week, and some teams have already locked in to make the 8, while there are some that are still trying to make it, and a couple of teams, like the bottom 5, 6 teams, officially cannot make it. But we are here for another tip video, and hope you guys are doing very well. Now, last week in round 20, I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct once again, although back in round 20 was 19 was 6 out of 7. The only 2 games I got incorrect last week were obviously my boys last week, losing to Penrith, 30 points to 10. And to my utter shock and disbelief, Melbourne lost 18-16 to Manly. Melbourne have lost at home for the first time this year. Oh my God, that was a great game, and that was a shocking win. I wouldn't consider that an upset, but gee whiz, that was such an unexpected result to see Manly win. Can they keep the momentum though? We'll find out. But anyways, guys, before we get into the stream as well, don't forget to like the stream, subscribe to the channel for you guys. Subscribe to the channel for you guys new around here. And don't forget to comment down below in the live chat or in the comment section. What are your tips are for round 21? And good luck for your tips this week. We're only also under 40 subscribers away from reaching 2K. I'm hoping we can get there by the end of the NRL season. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get into the NRL tips in our first game, kicking off at 7:50 p.m. on Thursday night. We have a blockbuster game from Allianz Stadium, kicking off at 7:50 p.m. We have the Roosters taking on the Melbourne Storm. And just like I said before, Storm coming off a shocking loss to Manly, 18-16, first loss at Amy Park, and then I think they've won 10 or more games in a row, which is pretty impressive. Or like some 15 home games they've won at Amy Park over the last year or two. And then as for the Roosters, last week coming off a loss as well, sitting outside the 8, losing to the Sharks at Shark Stadium last week, 31-18. Now let's go through the team list for both of the teams, and starting up. And these two have got to play each other again as well later in the season, only a few weeks away, which is surprising to see that the draw's like this, but I guess it is what it is. Now let's go through the team list for both teams. So Sandon Smith and Sam Walker will line up in the halves with Hugo Salahala lives in the reserves as he returns from a wrist injury. Ethan King comes to the centres for his second game in place of Billy Smith. Victor Radley sidelined with a shoulder injury, so Sue Wong comes into the starting side in his return from a knee injury. For the Storm, Tyro Wishart will start at 5'8", with Munster being given time off for his father's funeral. All the best to Cameron Munster. I pay my respect to his families, and all the best to Cameron Munster. Was very tough to hear his father pass away a few weeks ago, and that makes Origin 3 special for Munster and for Queensland as a whole. Nelson and Salamona will also miss the game due to suspension. Kane Bradley and Bronson Garlick are new faces on the bench. For Craig Bellamy, Pappenhauser still remains sidelined. Wow. Storm have already pretty much locked in for a top 8 spot, and they're looking to keep a top 4 spot. And as for the Roosters, they're currently only one of the few teams that still fight for the top 8 at the moment. This is going to be an interesting game, and the Roosters have not won a game against Melbourne since 2022, so not in the Roosters' favour, but they can definitely try and pull a win here. However, I will go to Storm to win this one. Melbourne don't usually lose 2 in a row, and we know how Melbourne are when they already lose to one team, and whoever plays them the following week, you don't want to be that team. So I will back the Storm to win this one in 1 to 12 points to win by 6. Scoreline of 26-20 is going to be a juicy game. First try scorer comes from the Roosters. Robert Toya gets first try. Anytime try scorers will go Angus Crichton. And for Melbourne, we will go Elia Katoa to score. So Melbourne to win in a close one, 1 to 12. Now we move into our our 2 Friday games. The first one kicking off on Queensland Country Bank Stadium, all the way up there in Townsville at 6 p.m. we have the Cowboys taking on the Dragons. Now, last week the Cowboys getting funked again by the Dolphins, conceding over 100 points just to the Dolphins, losing 43-24. And as for the Dragons, almost beating the Bulldogs, a bit controversial, we'll put it out there, losing to the Dogs 20 points to 18 at the core stadium last week. So both teams coming off losses and looking they can't really make the 8 anymore. Both teams are looking to avoid getting the bottom 4, which, I mean, if you look at the ladder, other than Gold Coast, between the 11th and 16th, it's only 2 points of difference. So they could just fall into the bottom 8 just like that. Bottom 4, I should say, sorry. Now let's go for the team list for both teams. Murray Taulagi it suffers a hamstring. So Braden Burns comes onto the wing, while Jackson Purgey returns to the centre. Thomas Duffy comes in at 5'8". Robert Derby has been called onto the other wing, so Jackson Paulo makes way. John Bateman is back, so Harrison Edwards pushes to prop in place of Thomas McKaylee, who suffered a knee injury. As for the Dragons, only the one change is Sino Fanu pushes Corey Allen out to the wing and bringing Matt Feagai into the centres for just his third game of the season. Now, the Cowboys have had the record over the Dragons recently. Dragons have not won against the Cowboys since 2021. However, Dragons have, I reckon, been the better team against the Cowboys. And then I've been the better team than the Cowboys. Cowboys have been lackluster this year, to say the best. And their attack, their defense, I should say, rather, is lacklusting, to say the least. And the points differential says that as well. So for this game, I'm going to take an upset for this one. Dragons to finally break a losing streak against the Cowboys. Dragons to win 1-12. Dragons to win by 8. Scoreline 20 points to 12. First try scorer comes from. We'll go Clint Gutherson to score first. Anytime try scorers, we will go. Let's go Harrison Edwards from the Cowboys, and we'll also go. We'll go Damien Cook to score for the Cowboys. For the Dragons, sorry. Jesus Christ. Yep, so Dragons to win 1-12, and we move into our finals Friday night game taking place at Suncorp Stadium. We have the Brisbane Broncos taking on the Parramatta Eels. Now, Eels last week, they lost to the Raiders 40 points to 16, meaning they've conceded 90 points to the Raiders this year in the regular season. As for the Broncos, coming off their third and final bye of the season, the week before beating the Titans at Seabus, winning 26 points to 14. Broncos are pretty much locked in for finals, and they are trying to get a top 4 spot, but they'll have to keep winning. And as for Para, just avoid the wooden spoon, really. Now let's go through both teams, shall we? So let's go for Broncos first. Payne Haas returns after being rested following Origin 3, while Jesse Arthurs plays his first game since round 17 from a rib injury. Corey Jensen is also back on deck and joins Kobe Hetherington, Billy Walters, and Jack Korowski on the interchange. As for Eels, the main man himself, Mitchell Moses, is back on deck after 4 weeks out with a calf injury. Dean Hawkins moves to 5'8", and Josiah Pupley slides to fullback to replace Isaiah Lungi, who suffered a hand injury. Will Penasini returns from suspension in the centres, so Bailey Simonson drops to the reserves. Ooh, that's a tough one to do. Luke Moriarty has been added to the bench. Dylan Brown is part of the extended squad, so meaning he will not play for the rest of the season, pretty much. For this game, it's really going to go one way, really. And thanks for Broncos. I hope you do win, because it will put us from being 16th or potentially last, hopefully. So Broncos to win, 13 plus. Broncos to win by 16, 32-16 scoreline. First try scorer comes from Para. First try goes to Zach Lomax, and anytime try scorers, we will go Britton Picora, and we'll also go Dylan Walker on starting at lock there for Eels, the score as well. So Broncos to win, 13 plus. Now we move into our first of 3 Super Saturday fixtures. First one kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Australia, 5 p.m. over there at Mount Smart Stadium in New Zealand. We have the Warriors taking on the Titans. The Warriors sitting in the top 4 at the moment. last week, coming off a win. Off a very lucky win against the Knights, winning in the last literal second, 20 points to 15 against the Newcastle Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium. And as for the Titans, losing once again to the Tigers at Leichhardt Oval for the second time in a row. 21-20 field goal from Adam Dewey. So the Titans remain in last, and should the Titans win this week, they want to try and avoid not getting a wooden spoon for the third time in their short career that they've been in the NRL so far. Let's go through both of the teams. For the Warriors, Chocolate Nickel Clockstar returns from knee injury, so tamed to a picking moves 18th man. It's the only change to the side that won against the Knights. And as for the Titans, skipper Tino Falasu-Malawi is out with a knee injury for a couple of weeks and is replaced by Khalees Haas. Josh Patterson, Jacob Alec, and Isaac Falasu-Malawi come onto the bench, while David Fafita has re-aggravated an ankle injury, and Campera has been overlooked. Interesting there. Well, I only got one thing to say. Warriors 13 plus. Warriors to win by. We'll go by 14. First try scorer will go Daniel Watani-Lysiak, and anytime try scorers will go Jackson Ford, and for the Titans we will go Sam Verrill. So Warriors to win 13 plus. Now we move into our second Super Saturday clash, kicking off at 5:30 p.m. from CommBank Stadium. A rematch from these two. They played not long ago. We had the Penrith Panthers against the West Tigers. The Panthers last week beating the Rabbitohs. Not surprised, winning 30 points to 10 at CommBank. And as for the Tigers, pulling off a nail-biting 1-point win over the Gold Coast Titans. Adam Dewey field goal, who started at lock, winning 21-20 at Leichhardt Oval. So therefore, remain undefeated at Leichhardt Oval in their 100th game at Leichhardt Oval, which that was fantastic to see. And they looked to square against the Panthers. These two played not long ago, and the Tigers fell short, 18 points to 14, with nail-biting contests last time these two played. Excuse me. Now let's go through the team list. Panthers, Nathan Cleary and Isaiah Yeo return from post-origin rest, while Liam Martin remains sidelined. Brian Toto has been named despite hamstring concerns. Isaac Tago returns from suspension. Paul Almighty goes to 18th man. Brad Snyder slides to the bench and Jack Cole makes way. Tigers. Former Rabbitohs Isaac Thompson will make his first game for the West Tigers after scoring 12 tries, 18 New South Wales Cup games. I thought he was at the Raiders after he left the Rabbitohs. Charlie Staines is the man to make way. Skipper Aparo Coruscant is named to start after coming off the bench last week. This one's going to be a really interesting game. I love how the Tigers played last weekend. As much as I want to tip the Tigers, unfortunately, I've got to go Penrith. Penrith the win by 2 points, though. We will go scoreline of 2018. First try scorer comes from the Tigers. Gerald Skelton goes over first. Anytime try scorers. We will go Nathan Cleary, and we'll also go Aparo Coruscant to score as well. So Panthers to win in a nail-biting contest. Panthers to win 1-12. Now we move into our final game of Super Saturday from Polytech Stadium. And if you guys are wondering what the heck is Polytech Stadium, it is the Central Coast Stadium. It used to be called Industry Group Stadium. It's got renamed a couple of weeks ago. No, it sounds so stupid. Why couldn't they just wait till the end of the season? It's the Central Coast Stadium. It is my boys, South Sydney Rabbitohs, taking on the Sharks. The Sharks are looking to stay in the top 8 after a good win over the Roosters, 31-18. That's for my boys. Seventh consecutive loss. We moved up a spot to my display. We're in 15th at the moment. We're only lucky because we're on the same points differential with Para. I don't know how that bloody stuff works, but yeah, we moved up a spot, which is a surprise. But the injury toll, Keon is out for the season. Peter Mamazula suffered a HIA in last week's game, and I'm looking at the team list. I don't see Jamie Humphries in there, and I got confirmation that he suffered a HIA at training either today or yesterday, so he's out for this week, but he'll be back for next week's game against the Broncos. So let's go through the team list, shall we? And we'll start with my boys as always. Finally get a home game. We haven't had one since round 16 against the Storm. So Dry Gray returns at fullback. Thank goodness. AJ moves back to the wing. We also see Lewis Dodd starting at halfback, taking over Jamie Humphreys. And Isaiah Tass moves to the centres, and Ewan Aiken moves to the back row. So Sean Kepi pushes to the starting side as Keon is out, and Ashton Wood is on the bench making his NRL debut. Very lovely. I was hearing rumours about that happening, and Ryan Gray joins the bench. Why? Why can't you just bring Shaq onto the bench? Give him a go. Now let's go for the Sharks. JC Ramian returns after missing the Roosters game with a hamstring injury, but Britton Nakora suffered a HIA in last week's game and will miss the match. Billy Burns comes to the starting side in the second row, and Daniel Axon joins the bench. Now, we played the Sharks back at Shark Park back in round 3, 27-12 we lost. But Sharks have been up and down for the last couple of weeks, and as for the Rabbits, we're due for a win. I'm very desperate for a win. I know we can't make the 8. I know we're on 12 losses, but still can't make the 8. We just want to avoid the wooden spoon pretty much. So if there is a game to win this week, finally, technically, it's a neutral venue, but we haven't lost at Central Coast Stadium since we lost to the Melbourne 2019. We've won 3 of our last 4 at the venue, and the pre-season challenge does not count either. So I'm going to back my boys no matter what, but it's going to be a tough one to beat the Sharks, especially they're maintaining a top 8 spot at the moment. So I'm going to back us to win by 6. Go 24-18 scoreline. First try scorer, I reckon, goes to Tallis Duncan. Anytime try scorers, AJ scoring a try last week, and he's also has re-signed for another 2 years till the end of 27. So that try scoring record is getting broken. Whether it'll be at the end of this year or at the start of next year. Bring it on. And for the Sharks anytime try scorer, we'll go Nicholas Hines. So Bravos to win 1-12. Now we move into our Super Sunday or Sunday ticket fixtures. First one kicking off at 2 p.m. from GIO Stadium. We have the Raiders taking on the Knights. Last week, the Knights lost to the Warriors. They should have won, but they didn't. 20 points to 15 they lost. And as for the Raiders, putting on a good score against the Eels for a second time, winning 40 points to 16 down at home last week. Now let's go for the team list for both teams. For the Raiders, Sebastian Chris has suffered a HIA, so he will miss this game. Simi Sassagali moves into the starting side at centre, and Noel Martin joins the bench. And as for the Knights, just the one change with Jack Harrington recalled on the interchange after 4 games in the SL World Cup, with Thomas Cant moving the 18th man. Brodie Jones is in the reserves and could be a late call-up after missing last week due to illness. Raiders 13+. Now, these two did play a few weeks ago, and I can't say more. The Knights almost won that, and the Raiders almost blew it. But Raiders won't make that mistake again. Raiders to win by 14, 28-14 scoreline. First try scorer comes from the Knights. Dane Gagai goes over first. And anytime try scorers, Ethan Strange, and we'll go Braden Best as well. So Raiders to win, 13+. And now we move into our final game of round 21, and in my opinion, the game of the round and the trickiest game to pick of the round as well. From Allianz Stadium, the Bulldogs taking on the Manly Sea Eagles for a 4:05 free-to-air kickoff. The elimination final week 1 rematch where Manly won and eliminated the Bulldogs last year. Now, this game is at Allianz Stadium. This game was to be confirmed, or the venue was to be confirmed back at when the draw came out, and it finally got confirmed at the start of the year to be at Allianz. I'm actually surprised it's not a call. You would attract a big crowd at the call for this type of game, but Allianz works out as well. So I guess it works both ways. And as for both teams, Bulldogs getting a lucky win, bit controversial against the Dragons, 2018. And as for Manly, shocking win against the Storm, 18-16. I did not see that coming, but good kudos to Manly. To beat the Storm, the rivalry these two have against each other as well. Now let's go through the team list for both teams. Bronson Sherry returns from a groin injury, so Anna Tulua slides onto the wing, and Jeffro Rena Carmen makes way. Sam Hughes returns to the side at prop, and Josh Corrin reverts to the bench to field by Stefani Tupanua. And as for the Sea Eagles, Homolo Alala has been named to return from a shoulder injury in the only change that beat the Storm. Corey Riddell slides to the bench, and Tommy Tillett, 18th man. Jake Simpkin has been named as play despite failing to return to the field after an injury assessment last week. Now, this is going to be the toughest game to pick, and this game can go either way. But for this one, I'm going to go with the same result that Manly put on the Dogs in the finals last year. Manly the win against the Bulldogs. However, I'm going to go a bit tough on this one. Manly to win 13 plus. Yes. Manly to win by 14. 28-14 scoreline. First try scorer from the Dogs, however. Jacob Kraz gets first try. Anytime try scorers, Fiami Kikia, and in his return game, Amole Alokaladi returns, and he goes over for a try. In fact, I reckon he goes over for a double. So, Manly to win 13 plus. That is the boldest tip I've done in such a long time, but I feel like it could happen. Manly to win 13 plus, and that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up my 2025 round 21 NRL season tips of the year. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here. And don't forget to comment down below there in the live chat, or if you're watching this as a video, don't forget to comment down below what your tips are for the 2004 round 21, and good luck to your teams this week, except for the Sharks, of course. I will be attending the Rabbit Sharks game as always. I've been to every single Rabbits game this year. It's been a lot of fun. And obviously, it's been the most simple trip for me. I live on the Central Coast. I don't live too far away from the stadium, so should be fun. And hopefully, we can get a win as well. With Jai Gray back, surely we can get a win. But who knows? Anything's possible. I think the comp's already sorted and the ladder's already sorted, but we shall see. But anyways, guys, good luck to your teams this week, and see you all in the next one, and go to Rabbitohs.